record. Okay. Hi. All right. So let's start with HHHFNC. So what is this HHHFNC? It is heated, humidified, high flow nasal cannula. Okay. So this is HHHFNC. So what is the word by word, let's discuss. So what do you mean by heated? Heated is at 37 degrees Celsius. Humidified is at 100%. What do you mean by high flow? There is no consensus definition for high flow per se. And in infants, it is described as anything more than 2 liters per minute. And in older kids, it's described as more than 2 liters per kg per minute. And you give it through a nasal cannula. That's all. This is your definition for HHHFNC. What is the mechanism? Isn't it similar to CPAP? Don't you think? Right? CPAP also gives the same thing. No, CPAP also gives humidified air. CPAP also gives your heated air. Flow you can control. It's given through a nasal cannula. But what is different in this? So let's see. The mechanism of action. If you see, it gives a faster flow of air. Correct? So this faster flow will reduce dead space in the upper airway. Why upper airway dead space reduction is important? If you expand that area, the resistance falls. When the resistance falls, there is easier flow of gas because upper airway is responsible for up to 60 to 80% of total resistance. Okay, so if that dead space is reduced, if that resistance is reduced in the upper airway, then it is easier. Second, it improves lung mucociliary clearance. Mucociliary clearance is important because you do not want the lung to get infected. Right? If you give a dry air, then mucociliary function is not going to be that good. That's why it's important always to give humidified air. Then there is a positive pharyngeal pressure. Right? So this positive pharyngeal pressure keeps the upper airway open. If it is going to keep the upper airway open, it is going to reduce apneic episodes, especially obstructive apnea in preterm babies. What is the most common cause of apnea in preterm? Is it central or is it obstructive? What do you guys think? Anybody? What is the most common type of apnea of prematurity? This is not homework. This is basics. If you're not answering this, I will not continue. Take a choice, no? Make a decision. Central apnea versus an obstructive apnea. Time is running out. Total 40 minutes tha irukku. One of you try to answer. Doesn't matter if it is wrong. I will not tell who has answered. But I don't know if others will be able to see. But yeah. Right. So that remains a homework then. Fine. Next class, I want all of you to answer something. Whether it is right or wrong does not matter. It's just between us. No, I will definitely not come as examiner for you. So it does not matter if you answer wrong. And I have not seen any of you face to face also. So that's okay. So increased synchrony between thorax and the abdomen, resulting in better respiration. And it stabilizes the chest wall, stabilizes the respiratory rate. These are all different mechanisms of action. But one thing, if you see that I have not mentioned is improving the PEEP. Okay. And expiratory pressure. Why have I not mentioned it? It gives some amount of positive pressure, continuous positive airway pressure. but it is not measurable like that of your CPAP. All right, in your CPAP machine, you are actually setting the end expiratory pressure that you're going to give to the baby. But here, there's no way that you'll be able to do, you will not be able to account for the leak that is happening through the nares. So you will not be able to say this much PWP I am giving to the baby. Got my point? So PWP, it is there, but only minimal, and it is not measurable. All right. Otherwise, it improves compliance to some extent. And all of this ultimately results in decreased metabolic demand because baby need not spend so much on expending energy for just the process of taking a breath. All right. So these are all the mechanisms of actions of a HFNC. Let's say HFNC. When are you going to use this HFNC? What are the indications to use a HFNC? If you think off the top of your head, any cause of respiratory distress you are going to use. If you are weaning the child of a ventilator, then you will be able to use. If a child is requiring, long-standing oxygen, like in case of your chronic lung disease, earlier time was your bronchopulmonary dysplasia, then you can use this without giving too much, too much FiO2, too much pressure. Just minimum flow if you continue to give, then the baby will be able to make up. Minimum FiO2 is enough. Then do this HFNC. It is good. Post-extubation support. If the baby is on CPAP but not requiring too much pressure, but there is nasal trauma because using continuous prongs, then you can do a HFNC with a nasal mask. If you are not able to do a mask in CPAP, then you can do a HFNC. Prongs are actually very, very soft compared to that of your CPAP. And early treatment of RDS can be done. See, early treatment of RDS, one point that I would like to stress is, yes, you can do a HFNC. HFNC can be done in more than 28 weeks. Less than 28 weeks, CPAP is always better. More than 28 weeks, if surfactant is given, then you can do a HFNC. All right. Before you give your insure technique, what is insure technique? What is insure technique? What is insure technique in respiratory distress syndrome of preterm babies? In is intubation. SUR is your surfactant. E is extubation. Okay. So this is insure technique. If you are going to give surfactant, before giving surfactant, always CPAP. Remember, even in more than 28 weeks, give CPAP till you ready your surfactant, give surfactant, then you can extubate to your HFNC. That does not matter. But before giving surfactant, if the child requires a surfactant, that is, if the child requires a surfactant, then CPAP is always better. So less than 28 week, no. More than 28 week, if surfactant is given, then yes. If surfactant is not given, then do CPAP, give insure technique, then give your HFNC. Contraindications. Contraindications, as we discussed earlier, very preterm babies. Less than 28 weeks, you are not going to do. If the child requires invasive ventilation, then you are not going to do. If the baby is unable to maintain airway or unable to maintain respiratory gases, then that's a poor situation, right? So then you do not use. If unable to maintain blood gas, if there is a pre-existing upper airway abnormality, coinal atresia, or there's a facial malformation that is precluding the use of HFNC, then obviously the option is out. Okay, so facial malformation, let's put it like that. Less than 28 week contraindication is for the purpose of RDS. That is what I mean. That is not to say less than 28 weeks you can never use HFNC. No, it's not like that. All right. So now you have a baby who is a 32-weeker who is getting extubated from a ventilator, and you want to put the baby on HFNC. How are you going to initiate? What are the initiation steps that you are going to do? You have to choose an appropriate what do you call this, interface. So you are supposed to choose an appropriate interface. So this interface that you are choosing, the prong size that you choose is very, very important. The prong size should be half the size of that of the opening, nasal opening. Okay, so this is nose, if you're not able to make out. Yeah, that's nose. And this is your prongs. So this is, it should be half the size of the nares. And how much flow are you going to start with? You will probably start with around 6 liters per minute in preterm and around 8 liters per minute in term babies. What FiO2 are going to start? FiO2 you will start at around 30%. So this is how you are going to start. Then you will minimize FiO2 to the least amount possible to maintain enough target SpO2. All right. The target saturation SpO2 varies depending upon the baby, the indication for which you are putting the baby on HFNC. So now you have started the baby on it, and the indication for which you have initiated is almost over. All right. So this baby has been on HFNC for 24 hours. Baby has been stable. Now you are planning to wean off. How are you going to wean off? So wean off again should be step by step. So here I am combining not just theory, your actual practical use, not the practical exam, practical use also. But yeah. So weaning off, if the initial FiO2 the baby is on at 24-hour point is around 25%. Okay. It's around 25%. Then the flow rate is reduced by 0.5 liters per minute every 12 hours. Okay, to the minimum possible. Suppose the FiO2 that you are starting with is say 25 to 30%. So let's keep it at that. If it is 25 to 30%, then the flow rate should be reduced even more slowly. 0.5 liter per minute every 24 hours. If FiO2 requirement is more than 30%, then don't wean flow rate because baby is still requiring the support. Okay. So here weaning does not come into play at all. Once the baby is less than 2 liter per minute, because about 2 liter per minute, by definition, it becomes a high flow therapy, right? So when the baby's requirement is less than 2 liter per minute, then switch the baby to low flow nasal cannula, your regular oxygen prongs. So that's your low flow nasal cannula. So this is a successful situation that we have described. So what about an unsuccessful outcome? When do you call a HFNC a failure? So you call a HFNC as a failure if the flow rate requirement is more than 8 liter per minute, plus either the FiO2 requirement is more than 40%, or the blood gases are bad. The pH is acidotic, less than 7.2. Your PCO2 is hypercarbic, more than 60 millimeter of mercury in a ABG or CBG, whichever you want to do. After 1 hour of HFNC, you are supposed to monitor, boss, on HFNC. You can't just look at vitals and say, baby is fine. Try to do a blood gas also. So pH less than 7.2. If the baby has more than 1 apnea, which requires a positive pressure ventilation within 24 hours, or more than 6 apnea, which requires a stimulation or an intervention in 6 hours. So these are the situations where you call a HFNC as a failure. If flow rate is required more than 8 liters per minute, or FiO2 along with 8 liters per minute, if FiO2 requirement is more than 40%, or blood gases are highly acidotic with hypercarbia, or the baby has apnea, which requires positive pressure ventilation or an intervention of some sort. So this is about HFNC failure. Why do you consider HFNC compared to that of CPAP? The only advantage that has been documented is reduction in nasal trauma. All right. Apart from that, it is almost equal. CPAP is better in some ways. HFNC is better in some ways. Each practitioner varies. Each center varies. And that's it. I think we have completed our HFNC. So let's run through it fast, shall we? So what is HHHFNC? Heated, humidified, high flow nasal cannula. Heated is 37 degrees Celsius. Humidified is 100%. High flow means more than 2 liter per minute or more than 2 liter per kg per minute. Mechanism of action mainly rests in the distension of upper airway, introduction of dead space, and positive pressure resulting in decreased apneic episode. Obstructive apnea. Okay, I have not leaked the answer. Fine. And it improves the mucociliary clearance, improves the synchrony of breathing, stabilizes the respiratory rate and chest wall of the baby. It improves compliance. PWP some amount of PWP is there, but it is not measurable. Ultimately, all of this results in decreased metabolic demand. When do you initiate a HFNC? Any baby in respiratory distress, when you are weaning off the ventilator, if the baby requires some amount of FiO2 alone, but does not require pressure, like a chronic lung disease, or this baby is having nasal trauma secondary to your CPAP, nasal CPAP trauma. Okay, so then you can do early treatment of RDS, less than 28 weeks for RDS, no. More than 28 weeks, if given surfactant, yes. More than 28 weeks requiring surfactant but not given, wait, give surfactant, then give HFNC. In the meantime, you can initiate on CPAP. Contraindications, very preterm for RDS, no. If the baby requires invasive ventilation, don't use this as a stopgap measure. It does not work. Okay, don't put the baby on HFNC saying, okay, I will wait till things are ready, or I will try and see if the baby is improving. No. If the baby has a clear-cut requirement for invasive ventilation, give invasive ventilation. Don't give a trial, especially with HFNC, it will not work. Failure rate will be very, very high. If the baby is unable to maintain blood gases, don't put the baby on HFNC. The baby has a facial malformation, then it's contraindicated. Initiation, the interface that you choose should have prong size, which is half that of the nasal opening. Flow should be at 6 liters per minute for preterm, 8 liters per minute for term baby, FiO2 of 30%. You will increase or decrease depending upon the need. You will wean off depending upon the initial FiO2. More than 30%, you will not wean. When the flow rate is less than 2 liters per minute, then you can switch off the HFNC, put the baby on low flow nasal cannula. You call it as a failure when the flow rate is high plus increasing requirement of FiO2, poor blood gases, or apnea episodes requiring treatment. Only advantage over CPAP is decreased nasal trauma. Okay, it is 10% in HFNC compared to that of nearly 40% in your CPAP. That's it about your HFNC. So hope all of you understood the basics of HFNC and hope you'll be able to manage a case if somebody comes. Wait, did I record this session? I hope I have. Okay, I'm recording. Thank God. All right, thank you. Bye. Any doubts? I think now we can discuss doubts if any of you have. Can I stop my screen share? I think I will. No? Thank you. Thank you for staying for such a long time. I know today's class went on for 1 hour nearly. 2 topics discussion like this, big topics are very difficult within half an hour. There one topic we should do or 2 small topics we should do. Okay. Can we use central hypoventilation? Just a second. Central hypoventilation or hypoventilation? I didn't understand the question. Please message me in Telegram group. Guidelines I will try to cover. Yeah, that is my aim. I am trying to do most of the guidelines because see, recent past 2 to 3 years, if you see whichever articles have come out, based upon that only most of the questions are. It's just modified questions. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Atul. So if in Indian Pediatrics, Indian Journal of Pediatrics, Indian Journal of Practical Pediatrics, then your IAP guidelines, that specific website. Then you can also look at JPCC and neonatology journals. So past 2 to 3 years, if you cover the topics, I think most of the questions will be covered. Something or the other will be asked, 50%. So hopefully we'll be able to cover. Let's see. All right. Bye. Thank you. I'll post this in YouTube for those who are. Okay. So can we use HFNC in hyperventilation due to CNS lesion in central hyperventilation? Oh, so that's your question. It depends on the child again, no? See, if, say SMA, let's take a SMA baby. See, SMA babies, they have more of a, let me stop recording.